Welcome everybody. My name's Helen Knight. I'm from the Creative Business Brain, and today we're going to talk to Massimo from the Angry Designer podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very excited to
Thank you.
today.
It's
And
always great to just surprise people, right?
yeah, you did surprise
Yeah,
me.
right.
You did surprise me today, but
Now we'll see the true Helen, okay? Because you're
yeah,
off guard.
you did catch me off guard today, but that's totally fine. And I'm very much an advocate of going with the flow and adapting and pivoting. So yeah, I'm with you.
It's all good.
Very excited to talk about niching down. I think we discussed the other day, and we help a lot of designers and agencies to get focused in a clear direction so they can start understanding what they need to do to start attracting a very specific audience. And
Yes,
often people are a little bit hesitant. I don't say all people, but sometimes they are. Sometimes there's a bit of resistance, let's say.
absolutely.
So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I think people are hesitant, especially coming from a creative space. I mean, generally when people get into a creative space, it's because they want to pursue some sort of creative freedom, some sort of passion. They assume that we're going to have all these liberties, and they think or they hear niching and they automatically go to you're going to be a logo designer and that's all you're going to do. People
Yeah,
tend to always associate niche with a skill set.
right.
And in all fairness, unless you are really passionate about logo design, that could feel a little limiting at times, or
Yeah.
brand identity. But the other side of niche, and there are several different angles you can niche your company into. What worked for our agency is we niched into an industry sector. So
Great.
we've always been a full service agency. And rightfully so, I do love all aspects of this business. I love brand development. I love strategy. I love print design. I love video work. Virtually any, and that's why I got into this space,
Yeah.
because I wanted to, check the boxes of everything I love doing. And
Mhm.
so there's, in that sense, I probably couldn't decide one. And, right, just like that whole crew, there's no way I could decide just one way to go for the rest of my life.
Mm.
But when we found an industry niche, okay, we had all the benefits, that you gain from, being in a niche. We became experts in our field. We
Yeah.
had clear train of, our sight, our focus, our vision was just, laser focused.
Brilliant.
We became, the expertise that we gained by being in that industry, in essence, removed all competitors
Yeah.
from our area.
It
And
does.
that was the big thing. I got sick and tired of coming up with proposals, and they're just blind proposals, and you didn't know what other agency was there, and you didn't know who, and you didn't know why, and what they were looking for. I got tired of it. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to elevate our agency and eliminate all our competition. And we did that
Well
by
done.
niching into an industry.
Yeah.
And by doing so, people, after, 12, 18 months, people were coming to us for work. And not just one or two, it was more than we could handle. We
Yeah.
had developed a reputation. We had thought leadership. We knew what networking events to go to, not just any networking
Yeah.
event. We knew what types of customers, like we knew exactly our customers, their point in business. And it was like, I felt like we were cheating,
Mm.
because it had elevated our business to the point
Yeah.
where, to the point where ultimately we were acquired for our expertise and our, and which is odd. Agencies don't often get acquired. And we were very fortunate to become acquired because of our expertise, our brand knowledge, our thought leadership, and the apps that we had developed from being in this niche. So there's so many advantages.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer.
It
It's
is,
it's
it is. And it's
yeah.
so great to hear that from you because I meet people every day that are battling against that. And it's like, oh, it's so good to hear. It's like, yes, that's exactly what I've been telling everyone for years. And
Yeah.
it's strange how some people just don't get it. But the ones that do absolutely rock it. The ones that do so well. And they're like, they
Well,
jump in with both feet and they're like, right, I'm all in.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. And I mean, the benefits coming back, there
Mm,
is nothing more rewarding for a designer than when a customer comes to you for your expertise and they treat you like an expert and they bring you into meetings with other people from their company and as though you're above them,
yeah.
right? They're bringing
Yeah.
you in as the expert.
Yeah.
That's that, expert status is that one thing that designers all try to achieve and
Mm,
just don't realize it. If
yeah.
you hum and haw when there's a question, well, you're not showing that you know what you're doing. If you have to think about, every single question that a customer asks you, you start, losing that credibility in their eyes.
Yeah.
So once you do achieve that expert status, it's fulfilling. It fills your creative soul with so much energy. And for us doing that, I mean, sure, if people have the right budget and they're willing to follow our process, and let us run the show, we will, we are able to step outside of that niche because, we still are a business. There's still our mouths to feed. And if the project is exciting enough, and checks all the important boxes,
Yeah.
we might take it on,
Yeah.
but we don't market that. We only market to a specific niche because that's
Good.
our expertise. And so, it's and again, people don't realize how broad an industry can be.
Mm. Oh,
People,
yeah.
I always use the example of music, right? If somebody is passionate about music, but I can't just niche into music. Like, that's too much of a niche. And it's like, well, in the music industry, right? I think it was like a third $300 million industry in North America. And if people are only thinking about, music as, musicians, right? Well, let's expand that even more, right?
Yeah.
Locally, you've got, music stores, you've got music lessons, you've
Yeah.
got events, local events, right?
Yeah.
And this is just locally. Now you take it up another notch, right? Then
Yeah.
you have the manufacturers, you have distributors who are all going to need branding, are all going to need marketing support, are all going to need web design. And then as you keep going up and up and up that chain, you can get to the point where then you can hit up producers, you can hit up musicians, you could be doing up, CD covers. I mean, are CDs even a thing anymore? I don't know, but
No,
but
but they still need the cover, don't they? They still need the
it's
on the
something,
down.
right? And
Yeah.
and the social media support and everything else. So you're not limited. You're only limiting yourself, based on your viewpoint on this.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's you're spot on, absolutely spot on. And yeah, it's really exciting because sometimes people don't realize they're often a little bit dubious or a little bit cautious, and then when they finally go for it, they're actually really shocked. They're shocked at the impact and they're shocked at what really happens because, I've helped people suddenly talk to companies that they never imagined they would talk to or, imagine they would be able to get in
Exactly.
front of. And
Yes,
because they've positioned themselves in the right way, because it's obvious that they've got the answer they're looking for. Um,
exactly.
yeah, it's just a no-brainer, and that's what you
I
want. Yeah.
I think the trepidation people feel when it comes to niching is they probably have no idea where to begin with
Mm,
something like this. For us, when we started our agency, we kind of when we started our agency 25 years ago,
mm,
there was 36 other advertising agencies in our small town. And our town was at that time, it was about a quarter million people. So 30, and this was pre-internet, right? Things were still happening on fax machines and you would actually travel to customers.
I do remember.
So so we had to, right away, I was like, how am I possibly going to start an agency with all these other established companies out there, right? So what we did is, we got a hold of some B2B industrial magazines. And I'm talking like the gritty, gross stuff that nobody wanted to do. No agencies wanted to touch the stuff. And I'm talking about, weld shops, CNC operation facilities, automation companies.
Yeah.
These were multi-million-dollar companies. And
Mhm.
there were all these, magazines out there that were, catering to these people. It was just a different market. It was a B2B market versus a B2C market. And that
Yeah.
wasn't very exciting for a lot of people. So initially, I was just like, you know what? This is a good group of people that we knew. We all knew that industry. We knew those backgrounds because of our family and our upbringing and such.
Mm.
So it felt initially like almost shooting, fish in a barrel. And that's a horrible, analogy, but almost everybody you talked to needed help.
Yeah,
And when they found out that you did work with this company, and all within their realm, just the doors, they would hold the door open for us to hear what we had to say.
exactly. And that's what
Yeah.
happens when you know your audience well enough to identify the problem that is the most common thing they think about every single day. And that's
Right.
the thing that is going to catch their attention. It's the thing they're going to be like queuing up to talk to you
Yes,
about because they're so curious about how you can actually solve those things for them. It just makes
exactly.
life so much easier. And it's crazy that people can't see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I find it
You know,
crazy.
and I did experience the other side. And reason being is we when we initially started, we went through tremendous growth in a shorter period of time. Within a few years, we were, upwards of 12 people. We had clients, we had big name clients in the industries.
Mhm.
But what happened is we hit an industrial recession. And in our area in specific, it really was affected because our area really relied on that space.
Right.
So, we panicked. And so what we did is we opened it up and we said, what, let's go being a generalist. We've gained all this experience. We can be generalists now. And we're just going to be a generalist agency. And it was in that period lasted for about 6 years. And it was the most miserable
Mm.
time I ever had.
Yeah.
We were out of our comfort zone. We were, trying to be something we weren't. We were struggling for work in the sense of we were now just another agency competing for a pool of work.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so hard.
it was
Mm.
brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And so what had happened, coincidentally, is so when we started, we niched into the industrial business to business sector.
Hmm.
And then with the rise of BlackBerry, I'm sure you know BlackBerry,
Yeah.
um, that was this town is where BlackBerry was founded.
Oh,
And so, all of a sudden, what happened is we started then moving from B2B industrial sector to the B2B tech sector.
oh,
So the
move.
people were the
Wow.
same, right? The
Great move.
engineers were exactly the same type of people, same thought process, but we stayed in our B2B niche, we stayed in our lane.
Yeah.
And when we walked in, we went from within a year and a half at BlackBerry, we went from one internal website to about 12.
Wow.
And we had landed, expanded. We were all internal there. And then what happens is we started getting that reputation. And then we went from that tech company to picking up a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth. And that was when everything changed all over again. Everything just skyrocketed from that point,
Yeah.
and
Well done.
we were able to be the agency that we are today. So I felt both sides, and I
Yeah.
don't know how anybody would want to be. I think all my horror stories come from when we were a generalist agency.
Yeah. Oh God, I remember being there in a generalist business, design business. Oh my goodness, it was such a nightmare. I struggled for so many years, and I didn't realize about niching for
Yes.
such a long time. But I think to myself now, God, if I'd known back then what I know now,
Right?
life would have been so different. Um,
So different.
so different. Oh my God, we struggled because my partner's a designer too.
Yep.
And yeah, we struggled for years. And I'm not
How,
kidding.
how did you even
It's,
find customers back then?
oh, it was horrible. We used to drive around the country. And I had massive anxiety when I was younger as well. I used to force myself to go to network events, and it was like hell for me. It was total hell. Um,
Yep.
and I forced myself to do it. Um, And my partner was the same. He hated it too. Like we're both quite introverted naturally. So we were just pushing ourselves as much as we could, and our bodies were screaming, going, no, what
Yeah, yeah.
are
Stop,
you
stop, stop.
doing? Like, go back home. And
So true.
yeah, it was just really hard. We didn't there was MySpace was around, that was it. There was no Facebook, no LinkedIn, nothing. And yeah, we just I ended up having my business. My design agency was basically me, but I had some freelancers working with me. I did that for around 5 years like that, and then I just did it part time with just me, and I started to try other things. So I was quite entrepreneurial. I looked at building other businesses. I actually taught design in a college. I did loads of other stuff. just to try and find my way because I thought there's got to be a better way than this.
There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, yeah. So it took me a long time to figure all this out. It really did. It was a long journey. But now I cannot tell you how much joy and pleasure I get from helping other people because I just think, God, that, if I'd met me 20 years ago, I want to give that gift to somebody else. I want to give
Somebody
that,
back.
yeah,
Exactly.
I want to give that to
How
some.
how how do you recommend people to even choose their industry
So we take them
or
through.
their niche? Sorry, their niche.
Yeah, so we take them through a process. If they don't know straight away, some people just know. It's like some
Hmm.
people really know because they listen to themselves and they kind of know what's in their heart. Some people aren't like that naturally. They don't really know how to listen to themselves and they kind of just are a bit all over the place. There's a bit of a running joke that they kind of turn up like this.
That's what my brain looks
And
like.
yeah, and then I kind of smooth things out, get them focused in one direction, and we just take them through a process of questioning them on certain things, and we help them to understand how to do the right research as well. And then all of that gathered together, again, take them through another process of narrowing it down. So we go
Mhm.
through a narrowing your niche process after that, after they've done research. And it just the answer literally pops out. It's like obvious after they've done that, after they've gone through those questions and they've done the research and they just know it's like, okay, that's it then. That's the one. And it's yeah, it is just making sure they're making a really smart move for the business, making sure that obviously there's a set criteria we follow, but also just that it feels right. It's got to feel
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
them. Not that, and they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yes.
Another thing, because sometimes people, I do meet people, all kinds of people, and some are, okay, I've got to do this because that's where the money is. And that's not what I would
Yeah.
advise. Okay.
No.
And some people are like, well, I want to do this, but there's no money there. And I'm like, well, there is money there. It depends what level you go to. So it's about
Yeah.
just being smart. So yeah, we guide them through
Absolutely.
step by step. I literally do it with them. So I'm always trying to explain to people what we do, and we don't just kind of give you a course and let you get on with it. We do it with you, so we'll guide you through it step by step and make sure that, we're peering over your shoulder, making sure that you are actually applying it in the right way, because
Right.
there's a right way and wrong way to do everything.
Right.
And yeah, we don't want people to make mistakes, so we do it with them, basically hold their hand and make sure they've got it spot on. So yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Well,
so nice to hear that you've obviously been through that as well. Obviously, you probably talk to a lot of designers on your podcast about things like this. What kind of, yeah, do you get any other weird reactions about niching or anything
well,
else?
and yeah, absolutely. Because again, it mostly comes around hesitation or fear. But again, it's because you know what, lack of effort, or willingness to work is never an issue. Nobody ever says, I'm struggling because I only want to work 10 hours a day or a week, right? It's never the lack of motivation. Everybody wants to do well. Everybody wants to make a living doing design. It's just when you are a broad generalist, when your view of the world and of the industry is just so general, so broad, you are just putting a little bit of effort over here, a little bit of effort over here, and you don't know where to focus that effort.
Yeah,
At least when you have decided, as far as I'm concerned, in an industry niche, right? Then all your effort goes to one place. It's all in one direction. And you'll find in a short amount of time, the strides you take will be bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah,
Because now all that effort that you had spread out is now focused in just a single direction.
yeah,
And I do find that once people realize that, same of effort. We're not telling
yeah,
people to do anything more. Instead of creating a blog post about, why your company needs a modern logo. Okay. Now all of a sudden your focus is why technology companies or technology startup companies need to have a brand that resonates their whatever, right?
yeah,
Now all of a sudden you're catching the eye of people and
mm,
you're niche enough that they will actually listen,
yeah,
right? How
yeah.
many different just general, imagine how boring the news would be If everybody in the news would talk about all the general things that happen in the UK or in North America, right? Nobody would listen to it.
No,
But when
no,
they say something that actually triggers you, whether it's about
no.
business, whether it's about, the stock markets, whether it's something local, you'll pay attention.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
that's the way the market will react to
Yeah.
your efforts if you choose an effort.
And that's why it's so important to actually research and understand who you're talking to really well. And I mean, really understand them on a much deeper psychological level. Because if you don't take that time to, and that should be a consistent thing, by the way, not obviously it's an initial thing when we first meet people, but I always encourage them to carry on learning about their audience as much as possible. And
Absolutely.
even obviously, when you start actually talking to those people, you're always learning because every conversation you have, you're learning from them, and you can
From
use,
them.
yeah, and you can use that all the time. So if people, everybody has their own kind of way of saying things and their own expressions, and all of that stuff is super valuable. What they're focusing on for the rest of the year. Like if you ask people certain questions, you know what's on their mind. You know what they're waking up thinking about in the morning or going to bed worrying about at night time. And all of that stuff is like gold for your business. It's total gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even networking events change, right? Like you described, your anxiety would go through the roof when you'd have to go attend a networking event.
Mm.
Because what do you talk to people about at a networking event? If it's just a broad networking event, local businesses networking event, well, usually the first people that are there, insurance sales agents, and everybody just hides from those people, okay? And then you get the next level down is often bookkeepers, right?
Yeah.
Looking for different types. And everybody there is looking for another customer. I've been to networking events where they promote that you go and find leads for everybody else in your networking group. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
want to find my own leads. I don't care about everybody else's.
Yeah.
But when you go to an industry specific networking event, and now all of a sudden it's just we'll go back to the music analogy, a music specific industry event. Well, now you can have pinpointed conversations with people and you understand what they're talking about. So,
Mm.
you're wandering around, you talk to somebody, you find out that they're, a music producer or they have, a music distribution company. Well, now you can take your music experience and actually have that conversation with them. They
Yeah.
don't even have to know what you do. Just by fact that they realize you know their industry, you understand what they do, you're having a very good conversation about the industry,
Yeah.
right? And you can hold your own. Then along the ways, they find out that you're a designer and you have services in this music industry. And right away, their mind goes to, well, they know a lot about the space. I know this person who needs this because this person has already proven to me they understand my space. I'm going to make that recommendation.
Yeah.
Right. And now recommendations aren't based on smiles. They're not based on, oh, I liked to talk to them. They were really nice, or I partied with them the other night. Now they are legitimate qualified referrals because it's like, I'm going to introduce you to Helen. She knows everything about this music industry. Had a great, so now they feel confident in that referral. And that's
Absolutely.
what happens. And that's how, it's funny because we were very fortunate because we never really had to look for work. Work came looking for us, which was
Amazing.
incredible, right? The
Yeah.
hardest time were those few years when we were a generalist agency and I was just knocking on doors.
Oh,
I
it's
hated that.
horrible. Oh my
It was
goodness.
horrible.
It's like hell. You feel like you're going to
Right.
prison. Yeah.
Right.
I definitely
True.
think I went through hell.
Right.
How it feels.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, thank goodness I just decided to focus on like developing myself as a person. I think that was the best thing I ever did for myself at the time.
Yes.
And I just gained massive confidence because when you're going through that for years, you lose your confidence, you lose your self-belief, you lose your kind of self-worth, everything. When things are
Yes.
that tough for years, you start to really doubt yourself massively. And so I
Absolutely.
had to really bring myself back from all of that. And I feel like I did the right thing at the time. I definitely did the right thing. And I started to have a real passion for helping other people. Because I've been through so much rubbish, I think.
Mm.
So yeah, and whether it was through teaching design, teaching martial arts. We did all sorts of things. I used to have a health products business. And we did all kinds of stuff, like learning how to build businesses, basically, me and my partner. So looking online, obviously, like social media started to pop up, and we started to learn about that. And it just evolved. Like it's weird how things take you from one place to another. It never makes
Absolutely.
sense on the way forwards. I'm thinking, why am I doing this? And
Absolutely.
then you look back and
Absolutely.
go, oh, that's why.
That's why. And it
Yeah.
happens often just by I mean, I had somebody reach out once and no, they commented on the platform on our podcast, and they're like, I listened to your episode about niching, and I can appreciate it, but I feel I would limit myself because, if I niche, then I wouldn't enjoy it that much.
Mm.
And he kept on saying if he would niche.
Yeah.
So before I responded, I looked into his Instagram. Then I went to his website.
Mhm.
And I mean, the work was all beautiful. It was great work.
Yeah.
And it was all, outdoor living. It was, like, tents and outdoor clothing and,
Mhm.
gear. And then he had a motorsports section, and it was, motorcycles and clothing for motorcyclists. And it was all in outdoor and motorsports section. It was
Right.
outdoor living. It was an outdoor adventure living with, and I was just, and my
It was
response
obvious.
was, you have niched. You just haven't realized it.
Yeah.
You
And
are
that is,
obviously
yeah, that's
right.
the case. Often that is the case. And it's so funny because I'll be looking at all the pieces of the puzzle while they're doing their research, and I'll be going, I can see what this is going to be. And it's
Yeah,
almost like I'm
right.
having a bet with myself. Like,
To say, yeah, right.
yeah.
And that's what happened. And we had that
Mm.
conversation. He's like, you know what? He goes, you're right. I really do love those two spaces.
Yeah.
I'll think about it at that point. And then he was like, I'll think about it. It's like, there's nothing to think about. You're there, dude. Like
Yeah.
you've already niched. You just haven't admitted it to yourself. And then of
Yeah.
course it was, why wouldn't you? Now you can go approach other outdoor motorsports companies and be like, this is what I've done. But it doesn't mean he has to limit himself to motorcycles. He's got motorcycles, he's got the four-wheelers. He can do bikes. He can even do the two-wheelers, the off-road crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
But there's
Plus all the
no.
gear that goes, the clothes. It never ends.
Yeah, there's loads of outdoor sports activities though as well, not just bikes, all kinds of things. So it could like how narrow you go is really up to you, isn't it? Like a lot of people
Correct.
say to me, how niche do I have to be? And I say, well, some people, it really depends on the size of the market as well in that area and
Correct.
the competition. And um, a lot of people do like they just choose an industry and that's enough. For some people, they need to micro niche, and that
Hmm.
just depends what they really want and who else is around doing a similar thing. So yeah, you've got to be smart, but it's definitely a massive step forward from being a generalist and trying to help everyone and blending in and
True. It's
not getting
true.
anywhere and just feeling like you're driving yourself crazy. So
It's true. It's very true.
yeah.
And what's funny is I always thought that it was the industry that I loved, the industry that I loved. But the
Mm.
longer I've done this, I realized that it's the agency is what I love. I love the agency. I love, my team. I love thinking creatively, strategically. The
Mm.
industry was just a business choice for
Yeah.
us, right?
Mm.
It was like, I mean, niching down was the byproduct of what I really wanted, which was creating, a rocking agency. And
Yeah.
whether I was this agency, whether we were in a different niche, I don't think it would have mattered as much because where I thought, my passion was, it ended up being more so just more of a smart business decision that I didn't even realize I was doing.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to this level of owning this agency, having my team, having our equipment, having music in the background, being that edgy company in our space, right? And let's face it, like we're in, Canada. We're outside of Toronto. We're never going to be as edgy as some of these really cool California companies, or like friends of ours, like Lincoln Design. These guys are crazy edgy, the work they were. But, they have their niches, their style, their industry, very high illustrative. We are the Lincoln in our industry,
Yeah, that's it. And you will
and
attract
that's
the right
cool.
people because if you're being authentically you and you are drawn to naturally drawn to those things, those the right people will be drawn to you as well. So very
Yes.
important not to worry about, oh, I've got to be like this or I've got to be more cool or, because I look at other people in that are helping creatives and sometimes I go, oh, well, I'm not very cool compared to these people. But
Yes, you
it
are.
doesn't matter and I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm helping a lot of people and the right people come to me that suit me and have the same kind of values and want to work on themselves as well as grow their business. So we do help
Right.
people with their mindset massively as well. So yeah, the right people just come to you when you're happy being yourself. I think that's really
So
important.
true.
Mm.
Yeah, it is. It's true. The authenticity really shines through. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy, that's a whole other podcast
Oh
episode,
yeah,
isn't
we'll
it?
do another one
Yeah, we'll talk about authenticity.
next time. Yeah, so I think yeah, it's I'm really excited that you're obviously doing your podcast now. What brought that about? Do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
So the podcast, it was one of those, it was just another one of those COVID shutdown, lockdown stories
Okay.
where, for about 6 months up here in Canada, everybody was basically working remotely. And, for creative people working remotely, that was really difficult, because especially when you grow up, when you start and run an agency as a team, right? Everybody's used to having a team around them. So
Yeah.
we were all segregated, we were all working remotely, everybody was miserable. And I was just getting more and more angry about, I always had a lot of stuff to say. And so but I knew that there was a lot of people that were with the same struggles that we were.
Mm,
And based on, my personality and everything else, I kind of had like a no BS type approach, like just suck it up. This is what we're all going through.
yeah.
And it resonated well with the market at that time. I think people up until that point, everybody would hear the same soft, fuzzy story, you can do it, it's okay.
Mm,
The reality is our space, deals with burnout. Our space deals with, addiction issues. Our space deals with difficult customers. And I mean, we are banging our head against the wall almost just as much as we're holding our hands up high in praise.
yeah.
So that's how the podcast started, as just being able to speak out about things that a lot of other podcasts weren't at the time. And that was just the other side of the business, which is, hey, it's a lot of work. You are going to be doing late nights. You are going to have shitty customers, right? You will go broke for a little while. I mean, that's, and have customers, screw you for giant bills.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
but we are being paid to draw at a professional level. We
Yeah.
are designing. We are in charge of brands. We are putting out, we are describing what companies, want to but can't. We are in the best industry, in my opinion. So it's not without its hiccups, but I couldn't imagine wanting to go through those hiccups as an accountant. I
No.
value, I value my accountant. I love my account, my bookkeeper, but if I had to go through this kind of heck as a bookkeeper all day long, I wouldn't be in that space. So, so I think that is where we started with the podcast. That's still where we are. Now the reality is we're not angry anymore. We've gotten everything off our chests.
Yeah, because I was curious about that. Why are you so angry? I was going to ask you.
So
Yeah.
now it is, I'm Italian, and we're very passionate the way we speak and the way we
Yeah.
act, and so anger. Everybody used to always be like, "Well, why are you always so angry?" And I'm like, "I'm not angry. I'm Italian. This is the way we speak." So I realized,
Oh,
I came to the
amazing.
conclusion that the anger is actually more about the passion behind what we do. And while it might come across as anger, because sometimes people just need to shake their head, for the most part, our podcast is all about passion.
Oh, amazing. Well, it sounds perfect to me. And I'll keep listening. I'd have managed to hear some of it on Instagram, but yeah, I will tune in. So you've got another fan following.
Yay! Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because we've been watching you too. So
Oh, great. Good, good,
yeah,
good. Amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
yeah,
Yeah, really interesting topic and just so amazing to hear that everything that I've been talking about, another person that's proven that yes, I'm talking about the right stuff here, because
absolutely.
we help so many people do that. And the ones that do jump with both feet and go all in, they do incredibly
Yes,
well. And
they
you're
do.
Yeah, you're just telling
right?
me why. It's like, yeah, of course.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So, yeah, people need
Amazing.
to really think about this.
They do. They do. So, yeah, thank you so much. And if anybody wants to have a chat with you or they want to contact you, what's the best way to reach you?
Most people reach out to us on our Instagram, it's the Angry Designer
Okay.
Podcast.
Mhm.
We that's generally where the biggest conversations are, of course. But we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, and we do also have quite a few people that we respond to on our YouTube channel, which is the Angry Designer. So yeah, one of two places. And as long as they're patient, we respond to everybody. We,
Mhm.
check out everybody who follows us. We're checking out their podcast. We're saying thank you personally to everybody. It gets a little exhausting at times, but we want to make sure that, we're saying thank you to everybody and we see who our angry designers are. So,
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
yeah,
Perfect. Great. Well, yeah, I hope we can chat again another day. And
anytime.
yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen.